Well, welcome new Connect groups. We are so excited for you and for what this upcoming semester and this upcoming year holds for you. And we're hoping that the past few weeks, within those weeks, that you've already made some relational and some spiritual connections within each other. And we know that that is just going to continue to grow throughout the semester and throughout the year. And today, the topic that we want to discuss is called Share It. And I'm going to be talking to you about the importance of having purpose conversations within your Connect group and what that looks like. And as you probably already have picked up on, a lot of what goes into our Connect groups includes discussing things, so sharing things, and listening to others share things. And we have found that the most successful Connect group members are members who are both good listeners and who are willing to share. And for a lot of us, we're usually better at one of those two things. So we're either a good sharer, where we're willing to share our experiences, we're willing to open up and talk about our past experiences and what God is teaching us. But for others of us, that might be really difficult. And for some of us, we might be really good listeners. So that's our gift. We can listen to others, we can empathize or sympathize with them, we can hear them and hear their heart, but we might feel a little uncomfortable sharing what God is doing in our own lives. And so part of what we're going to hopefully grow in throughout the Connect group semester and year is focusing on whatever we're weak in. So if we are willing to share and we're good at that, we want to focus on making sure we're a really good listener. And if we're really good at listening, we want to focus on the fact that we have to be willing to share and be vulnerable at times. And so today I want to kind of break down both of those things and talk about what makes a person a good sharer and what makes them a good listener. So the idea of sharing. In sharing, that means when we're willing to share, that we're willing to open up and at times be vulnerable about what's going on in our life. So there are a lot of personal questions that we'll be talking about throughout the Connect group discussions each week. We're talking about what God is doing in our life, what He's maybe teaching us, the action steps that He wants us to take, just many different issues that come up that require a personal story or require us to kind of examine what we're going through and be willing to share that. And so that doesn't mean we have to have a story for every single question that's asked, but it does mean that we have to participate in some ways. And I found that once I take that step and I share, sometimes that makes other people feel more comfortable. Maybe they relate to what I've just shared. They can connect with a story that I've just talked about. And it allows them to feel more comfortable to open up and in their own share their experiences. I've seen that happen numerous times with myself in Connect group. I've seen it happen with others. Someone will share a story and I can just see the light bulb go off in other people's minds and they have something to share. And they have that connection point then, a point where they can grow in and they have that commonality with each other. And it's really a beautiful thing. But it does require at times being vulnerable. It requires being willing to take that uncomfortable step to say something, maybe when we aren't feeling like we want to do that. So that's part of being a sharer, feeling comfortable in that area, taking a step outside our comfort zone. The other aspect is listening. Being a good listener requires that we don't have to have a story or a response or a suggestion or advice for every single story that's shared or for every single thing that's shared within our Connect group. At times, it's taking a step back and just really listening to the heart of the person who is sharing. It's okay, I just shared a story about how we can relate with each other and how having that common story can build connections. But sometimes we have to recognize, you know what, this just calls for allowing that person to share, allowing the attention and the focus to be on them for a minute and for us to all process through. As we are going throughout our Connect group semester, we really just have to have the social awareness of how we are sharing or if we are sharing, if we're sharing too much, if we're sharing too little, and kind of navigate that along with how are we listening? Are we taking a step back and taking in the details and the experiences of what others are going through so we can have a heart that relates to them by just being a good listener? And finally, on top of sharing and being a good listener, something that we want to focus on with our purpose conversation is really staying on point. It is super easy to allow our thoughts and our stories to kind of scatter and go in many different ways. And we really do try to provide and encourage fellowship time at the beginning of your group to allow for people to share on different topics. But once we get to our discussion questions and the purposed conversations, we really want to encourage you to be a group member who stays on focus, who stays on task, and is discussing the points that have been asked specifically. These are all things all of us can work out on throughout the semester. We know that we have to grow in different areas, but we just believe that in having purpose conversations and being purposed in how we are sharing and listening, we can all grow and be better, form better connections and better relationships within our groups.